Welcome to this presentation titled Detecting Implicit Dilemmas with the Repertory Grid Technique in Students Who Procrastinate by my colleague Michal, Jasiński, and myself. Approximately half of students deliberately postpone in a chronic way the tasks that they are necessary to do in order to achieve their academic goals, progress, and even though they are aware of the negative consequences of this delay. Procrastination has been described in different ways, but we know that not only hinders academic performance and flourishing, but also causes a lot of suffering, anxiety, shame, depression. The prevalence is quite high. Almost half of our students procrastinate, and the consequences are not good for their well-being and for their progress in the academic development. This self-blocking pattern of behavior can be seen as an expression of an internal conflict in the person's meaning system, which involves some degree of fragmentation, using Kelly's word. The theoretical background of the study is based on Kelly's theory. Since then, many authors have contributed to improve its method and to develop psychological interventions. Individuals interpret the world based on personal constructs, we could see them as schemas, that act as a mental map for understanding self, others, and many aspects of their life experiences. The most central or core constructs are those that define the person's identity. So we can see personal construct theory as a theory of meanings and identity. In contemporary personal construct theory, these internal conflicts are conceptualized as implicit dilemmas, formed by constructs in which change is desirable, for example, moving from procrastination to becoming efficient, but by implication involve constructs in which change is undesirable. For example, moving from having an open mind to a closed mind. This could be represented in this way. We see that the person would like to change in this construct, procrastinating to not procrastinating, but she doesn't want to change in being open-minded. She doesn't want to be closed. But both aspects are linked in her mind, so that not procrastinated is tied or associated to having a closed mind. The objective of this study is analyze the cognitive structure of students who procrastinate and explore the implicit dilemmas that hinder their progress. This way, we are going to be able to define the extent to which the subjective meaning given to procrastination affects personal identity and prevents the desired change. To test the hypothesis that implicit dilemmas are more common in students who procrastinate, we conducted an observational case control study comparing them to other students who described themselves as efficient in completing their academic tasks. After the research protocol was approved by the Bioethics Committee of the Universitat de Barcelona, we announced the study in person to students attending classes, mostly at the Faculty of Psychology of this university, and asked for dissemination among peers and friends. We recruited 67 students, 17 males, who mean age 22, who met inclusion criteria for the procrastination group, reporting procrastination as a problem and scoring above 51 points on the general procrastination scale. And also 61 students, 19 males, mean age 22, for the control group. The score for those was below 52 in that scale. All of them were students between 19 and 26-year-old. The cutoff score was the mean score reported for the Spanish adult population. Assessments included sociodemographic data and the general procrastination scale and the repertory grid. The repertory grid was used to identify implicit dilemmas. It consists of a semi-structured interview to elicit each participant's constructs and a rating task in which they apply them to self and significant others using a 7-point Likert scale. Let's look at it in more detail. The administration of the repertory grid involves 3 stages in the context of this interview. First, a set of about 10, 12, maybe up to 20 elements representing the self and significant others, typically mother, father, siblings, partner, friends, is selected. Also, a non-grata person, defined as someone whom you know but you do not like, is included, as well as the ideal self, defined as how I would like to be. In the second phase, so this way we have here the elements in the columns. In the second phase, a dyad of elements, for example, father and mother, are selected, and the individual is invited to compare them in terms of their similarities and differences according to the subject's view. In this grid example, both parents were seen as quite curious, and then she was asked to provide a label for the opposite, which she said without interests. Additionally, one or more perceived differences between the 2 elements were explored, so that the mother was seen as affectionate while the father was described as somewhat cold. The person is encouraged to provide more differences or similarities, and then a new dyad of elements is selected, for example, self and sister. This process of selection of dyads of elements and construct elicitation is repeated until all elements appear at least once in the comparisons and the subject does not provide new constructs. These personal constructs, which reflect the interviewee's subjective view, rather than previously set of standardized items, like those of questionnaires, are displayed in the rows of the grid form, whereas the elements are represented in the columns. Finally, the person rates each element in terms of all the elicited constructs, employing a 7-point Likert type scale. For example, a score of 5 is given to the element father for the construct affectionate versus cold, meaning that he's viewed as a little cold, and a score of 1 for the mother, very affectionate. And thus, the grid data matrix is created. From the resulting data matrix, several measures can be derived. You can see them here, for example, presence of implicit dilemmas, if the person has or doesn't have an implicit dilemma, number and intensity of these implicit dilemmas, and other measures that can be derived from the repertory grid, but results are not presented this time. For example, self-discrepancies, discrepancy between self now and ideal self, or cognitive polarization, or interpersonal construct differentiation. Okay, so results indicated that a large proportion 3/4 of students who procrastinated had at least one implicit dilemma in their grids. In the control group, the percentage was around 30%. This difference was significant, and the odds ratio is quite high, 7. So this is quite a powerful result. The average number and intensity of these dilemmas were higher also in this group as compared to controls with medium effect size. These findings are relevant for counselors and psychotherapists. They can target internal conflicts by working on these implicit dilemmas. The study provides us with a novel understanding of procrastination and also give us the opportunity to apply techniques that had been used for other problems, like those expressed in these manuals that we have created. This is open access paper in the journal BMC Psychiatry in English, and this is a book in Spanish. Practical implications. We need to focus to study, to evaluate internal conflict in both for research and practice. Probably if we do so, we can get higher efficacy of the interventions. And we should avoid simply pushing against pushing the subject to not procrastinate. If there is an internal conflict, then that will increase the need for not moving ahead. So we need to approach the conflict and not only pushing the subject to do the things in the right time. Investigating implicit dilemmas should be done both in research and practice to design custom-tailored interventions. Thank you very much for your attendance to this presentation, and we hope you enjoy it.